Hey, what's going on, Sir Dave, Angel? How you guys doing? How the ladies and gentlemen are doing? Yo, what's going on from hood to riches? What's going on, DJ Daryl Johnson? Nice to see you, bud. Guys, ready for this WNBA Finals? Yeah, I just figured I'll pop in here. What the heck, go over a couple of numbers, look over some stats with you guys, and see if we can come up with some pretty interesting lineups for today, and see if we can, if some of us guys can win some money. Yeah, yeah, Brian. Man, I'm becoming a junkie at this, man. I just wanna just get out there. I figure, what the heck, man? I got nothing to do. It's Friday. I'm getting ready to watch the game in about less than an hour now, and I said, what the heck, man? I looked over some stats, looked over what the teams have done against one another over the last few games, and I figured, why not? Let me just get on live and see if anybody pops in and wanna talk a bit for a little bit. Devorius Lockhart, what are you doing? How you doing, buddy? Brian James, how you doing? Marky Mark, what's going on? Schittsburg. I tell you, man, I always like Cleveland. I kind of like their uniforms. It's weird. I'm a Jet fan. I'm from New York. And I mean, I love football in general. I like a lot of teams. I've always been fond of the Raiders a little bit too, but I always like the Browns uniform, especially like the last few years. They've changed their uniforms a few times, so I kind of like those, man. But the Browns are not gonna go 0-16 this year, so you're in good shape there, Dave. Carl Lee, what's going on, buddy? So yeah, so what are you guys thinking, man, about this WNBA Finals here, man? I was trying to put a couple of lineups here, all crazy. I don't even know what I'm gonna do just yet. I did buy just one entry in here. I played a couple of other dollar entries. I mean, not much, because I'm just gearing up for football. Didn't do good with the football last night playing that freaking. I hate playing this MVP Pro and Star thing, but. You got to give it a shot anyway. Matter of fact, I forgot to open up this pop-up window. Let me do that. Pop chart. Close this up just a little bit. Bring this over. Bring that over. I got to go for my girl Della Don, tonight. As much as I like Seattle, and I projected that Seattle would be in the finals, I mean, I'm really, really surprised on how well Washington played. And even in the last live show, I told you guys I wouldn't be surprised. I really felt that Washington had a shot to win, and they definitely went out and did that. So congratulations to both teams for making the finals, and hopefully it'll be an interesting finals. I think it's going to be a pretty good finals. I really believe so. But whoever takes game one and has the momentum going, I think that's going to be a big advantage, at least in my opinion. Marky Mark from Brooklyn, man. I'm originally from Brooklyn, Mark. I live in Long Island, New York now for the last 20 years, but I was born and raised in Brooklyn, my man. Bushwick, Brooklyn. Stewie MVP, Orlando. Nice to see you, Orlando. So what are you guys thinking here, man? My Della Don girl, like I said, as you see here, I kind of like Della Don here at the top. Again, they're playing in Seattle, so you gotta always think of Breanna Stewart. I was looking at some stats. I mean, let me just run over some numbers with you guys, just in case you guys have not looked into it. In the last 4 games, Seattle, they put up 49.2 points per game from the floor, from the forwards and centers, and the guards 31.7. But they gave up to the opponents. The opponents really ate them up, and obviously that was Phoenix. Phoenix with Griner and with Bonner, they really, really tore them up. I mean, they couldn't handle them, that girls. I mean, thank goodness for Seattle. They were able to get a great game from Sue Bird. Whitcomb came in there and played very well too, Sammy. But their opponents, 57 points per game were given up by Seattle by their opponents. They really were getting beat up bad by almost 8 points more difference from Phoenix. Where they had the advantage at was that they were able to defend just a little bit better in certain parts of their games during the course of that series. And they only gave up 26 points per game to the backcourt of Phoenix, and that was the advantage there. For Washington, their last 4 games of the series with Atlanta, they put up 52.7 fantasy points up front, so definitely an advantage for Washington. I think Washington can put big numbers against Seattle as well. I think they definitely have an advantage, with just slight advantage, and that's all due to that Ariel Atkins has been very, very solid. Very, very solid for them in that series, and I think that she needs to be solid in this series as well, as being in the 3 spot. She came up big. 52.7 points per game from the forwards and centers, and that includes a lot of Miss Ariel Atkins. The opponents, they held Atlanta's front court to 39 points per game from the floor per game in that series. I mean, that's just remarkable. If they can hold Seattle down from 49 to about 45, they got a good shot to win this series. Good shot. Man, we got a lot of New Yorkers here, I see. Holy smoke. Marky Mark is from Brooklyn. I'm originally from Brooklyn. I live in Long Island now. Who else is from Brooklyn? Somebody. Angel's grandfather's from Brooklyn. Randy Ortega, you're in Copeg. All right, Randy, you're a Long Islander. Sir Dave, I lived in New York City for 7 years. Okay, Brooklyn in the house. All right, Giovanni. All right, so that's good, man. So we got a lot of New Yorkers here. Nice to see that. So going back to some other statistical data here for you guys, just in case for you guys to dissect. Della Don, in the series versus one another, Seattle did win 2 out of the 3. There was one game that was a complete blowout. That was the last game. Washington won down 100-77, and Seattle just didn't play well for a good quarter and a half, and they just basically sat a lot of their players. So, not too much. Brianna Stewart, she was held to 10 points and 3 rebounds. Sue Bird was 7 points with 4 assists. They only shot 39% from the floor. They were horrific. But Washington shot so well. Don had 30.6 rebounds. Ariel Atkins had 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals. Sanders had 17 points, 12 rebounds, 1 steal, and a block. And Cloud had 14 points and 8 assists. That was in the last game. The prior 2 games after that, you're going to see here, Ariel Atkins, another solid game, 17 points in game 2 with 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. Don, 29, 7, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Sanders had 10, 6, and 1. But the best play, obviously, for Washington in game 2 against Seattle was Della Don with 29, Ariel Atkins with 17. Cloud contributed with 10 points, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Christy Tolliver had a good game, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal. And T-Hawk off the bench with 4 points and 5 rebounds. Not too shabby versus Seattle in the second game. For Seattle in the second game, even though they won the game 97-91, Clark had 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals. Of course, Brianna Stewart had the best game, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. And Jewel Lloyd was okay at 9, 3, 2, and 1 steal. Sue Bird had the best in the backcourt, 21 points and 5 assists. And off the bench and playing for a good amount of minutes was Crystal Langhorne. She did pretty well with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. So definitely Crystal Langhorne is someone to consider, who had a little bit of success already against Washington. In the first game, Seattle won that one 81-77. There was no Della Don, no Natasha Cloud, and no LaToya Sanders played in that game, and they almost won the game. Seattle pulled out that game by 4 points. Stewart had 25, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal and 2 blocks. Howard 14, 7, and 2, and Jewel Lloyd had the best in the backcourt in that game, 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. But again, Ariel Atkins came through again without no Della Don, no Cloud, and no Sanders. Miss Ariel Atkins put up 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 steal. Tolliver 20 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. Hines Allen off the bench starting in the front court with T-Hawk. They both contributed well in that game. 10 points and 11 rebounds, and T-Hawk 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 steal. So just looking at it, it seems like Washington has an opportunity to do well against the front court against this team. T-Hawk, Hines Allen, as well as Delle Donne and Latoya Sanders all have had pretty good success against Seattle this year. So something is telling me I'm going to go with my girl and the Washington Mystics to hopefully win the series, but I definitely like Seattle as well. So, I mean, again, going over to this MVP, star, and pro thing, you guys know the deal already. We've discussed this several times in other live shows when we've had these one-game slates that we have I decided to do a live show on, is obviously you want to pick your core 3 players. That's the best tip I could give anybody. Pick your core 3 and move them around in your MVP, star, and pro position. So, looking at what I just gave you as far as numbers, obviously Delle Donne did well, so did Breanna Stewart. Let me just clear the board here. I think that Ariel Atkins has to be somewhere in this 5. I mean, she just played absolutely well. As a matter of fact, in the playoffs, Ariel Atkins has been playing nearly 28 minutes, taking about 10 shots from the floor and 4 shots from 3, averaging 49 and 45% respectively. She's also a pretty decent free throw shooter and averaging 15 points per game. So I definitely love Ariel Atkins. I think out of the other than Ariel Atkins that I believe should be here somewhere, I'm going to put her in the pro spot. Let's just throw her here for now. I like Ariel Atkins. When it comes to Seattle, I think I'm actually leaning towards having a little bit of Sue Bird. Sue Bird did have 2 out of the 3 games, did play fairly well. So did Jewel Lloyd. Jewel Lloyd did 2 games, I think. Yeah, she did play. She got a 27 spot in 1 game. Matter of fact, I could look at it right here if they have the total stats. Again, I'm doing this as a core. I just looked only at the stats last night, and I put it together just in case I decided to do a live show today. And as you can see against Washington here, 21 and 22 minutes. And they do have game 2 here. She played 31 minutes at 15.6 fantasy points. Nowhere near her average, but nonetheless, not too bad. I do like also here Crystal Langhorne. That's a very sneaky play. I think that she'll be someone. I think Christy Tolliver would do well here in this series against Seattle. I kind of was impressed with the way she came back and played well in the last 2 games against Atlanta. So Christy Tolliver to me is someone to consider. And against Seattle, she played 30 minutes in the last game, only got 10.7 fantasy points. That was the blowout, of course. She did play 30 minutes in that blowout situation, meaning they blew out Seattle. She didn't shoot well that game, but she did put 36 and 36 in the game prior to that. And of course, in game 1, I have it here. Tolliver put up 20 points. So she had 18 in game 2 and 20 from the floor in game 1. So I kind of like Christy Tolliver. And then on top of that, she has shot well in the last 2 games. As you can see, 19 floor points in the last game against Atlanta, and then 22 in game 4 with a 44 spot. So Miss Tolliver to me is someone you must consider today as well. I'm going to put her in the star spot, and I have no problem. I think those 2 are good, and then maybe of course we have to, most importantly, you have to be different. So when you have your 3 core, you can move them around at the top. Right now, I don't have a core 3 at the moment, as I'm showing here on the screen. Ariel Atkins and Christy Tolliver. I mean, obviously you need to have a stud up there. Even if I got Delle Donne, it leaves me with $5,700, and that's not going to leave me with much to play with. But we could probably find a diamond in the rough here, like a Tiana Hawkins. So we can go a 4-1 stack Washington here, or come up and you could take a Whitcomb here, who has played well and has been getting some action in the last 3 games she's been playing. She got 11 minutes in game 3, 5 in game 4, and 20 minutes in game 5, which was really big for Seattle. Without her and Sue Bird playing as well as they did, that would be a problem. But she could be someone. You still have Ruffin Pratt, and you still have at 5,500. You could still throw in here Crystal Langhorne, which is someone that I had considered very early on. And then I just finished stating that she did come out and play well against Washington in game 2 during the course of the season. where she put up Langhorne put up 12 points and 6 rebounds and 2 assists. She really came through and helped them out in winning that game 97-91. That was game 2. Natasha Cloud. If we go to Natasha Cloud, there's not going to be enough space. Not enough money left over. But I'm going to say Langhorne here for Seattle. And you still got 6. And you can get Miss Canada. Again, you have to be totally different. You can have the top 3. Always remember the MVP star and pro could be the same girls. The only thing is you just got to move them around. Play multiple lineups. WNBA don't have great contests. I mean, it really is not a lot of prize money to win anything big. Tonight on this particular one here is not as big at all either. It's a $4 entry, but you know, again, still that's the same philosophy. You definitely want to at least have those core 3 and move them around and just be slightly different on your utility players, and that's going to be the difference in you possibly taking down the GPP. And again, as you know, I strictly try to focus on mostly GPP plays. Tiana T-Hawk is also a good person here as well. She has success in 2 out of the 3 games against this team this year. And we could just take a look at that a little closer here. Seattle, 14 minutes, 12 fantasy points, put 5, 3, and 1. And here, 12 minutes, 9 points, 4 points, and 5 rebounds. So, you know, someone to consider. On top of that, she did get 19 in the series against Atlanta, 11, 10, 19, 7. So you figure she got about 13 or 14 on the average minutes per game. And she did have a 16, a 19, and a 21. So T-Hawk, if they, again, every time we notice this, every time in the WNBA, it's going to be totally different, as you're going to see when we get to NBA. It's just, we just don't know. T-Hawk came in the other day. The game before that, she didn't see any action in Game 4. But in Game 5, she came through and got some action. And when you were fading her and we didn't play her, she obviously played and had a great game. So I'm just going to buy into the fact that, hey, this is a GPP. You got to be a little bit different. Why not switch it around? So a 4-1 Washington stack, then make another lineup and make that a 4-1 Seattle stack. Okay? Then you can go 3-2 if you're making 4 lineups. James Perkins says, why Whitcomb? I don't know. She could probably help. There's no doubt about that. I mean, she has played in the last 3 games as far as Seattle's giving her some minutes. I mean, 11 and then 5, which is not a whole lot. Then 20. Who knows? She did get 27 in the last game of the season. But obviously that was a game that Seattle didn't need to play their studs. Who knows? You just got to take a fly here. You know, I mean, if you go with the same 5 girls and they, you know, and you have 150 people, 300 people take the same 5 girls, chances are you're not going to get it. But like I said, the difference here and what I like about this single game slate thing is the MVP star and pro spot. Way back earlier in the year, especially with NBA, when they had those single games, they did not have that. They had everything all utility, and there was a lot of people cashing into top spot and splitting $5,000, and it was like they were only winning like $10. I mean, it was like literally hundreds of people with the same lineup. This here with the 2 point, 1.5 point, and 1.2 times the points definitely helps. And if you mix and match the right way, and you get that one utility player that is not highly owned that goes off and comes off the bench, you got to look at a lot of scenarios, ladies and gentlemen. When you figure, my mindset on this is that you also got to think of it as what happens if there is a big lead. You also always have to think of who's going to more than likely come off the bench if somebody's actually getting blown out. And remember, Washington did blow out Seattle the last time they played, and Seattle did not play well. Now, granted, this is the finals, and we all know everybody's in play, and we know everybody's going to play massive minutes, but there could be a moment here where one of the 2 teams is not shooting well. Then who's going to come in and is going to play some minutes? That's what we got to look at. If we're basing this on who has scored the most during the playoffs and done well, the 2 top big men, as you can see here, Stewart is averaging 24, Deladon 21. And then right after that, my girl AA, the Rook, Ariel Atkins with 15. And then also you could look at it, it's like, hey man, well let me figure out, let me look at the players that are getting the most touches and are going to get opportunities and are important roles to the team. Ariel Atkins is, Della Don is, Christy Tolliver is going to get her shots. So let's look at Della Don. 16 attempts and 4 threes. So it takes about 20 shots a game during the course of the playoffs. Ariel Atkins, 14 shots, 10 and 4. Christy Tolliver, 13 and 7. That's 21 shots. She's taking 7 3-pointers a game and 13 shots, pretty much 13 and a half shots from the floor. We move down a little bit further. As you can see, we have Natasha Howard. I'm not big on Natasha Howard. I like LaToya Sanders better, but that's just me preference. I think Howard is just as good. These girls are similar in style. It's just, I think Sanders has the potential to be a little bit more consistent to me as far as field goal percentage and all that. But as you can see here in the field goal percentage list, Howard is 50% thus far, taking pretty much 12 to 13 shots. And LaToya Sanders is taking only 8. She's not a three-point shooter, so there is an advantage for Howard because she does take a few threes per game. I still like her there, LaToya Sanders, a little bit. I think that she gets up for games like this. And the same thing with Christy Tolliver. She gets up for these games. She's going to face Jewel Lloyd, and Jewel Lloyd and her are going to have a nice little battle here. What are your guys' thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Sir Dave lives in Westchester. What we got here? What about Hawkins? Yes, T-Hawk. I like T-Hawk. How the rotations are gonna go, James? I don't see it changing. I don't think there's gonna be any change in the rotation. I think that, like I said, the only difference here is if one of the teams has a bad shooting night and the other team takes a large lead. I would say like 15, 20-point lead, especially late, like third quarter or late third quarter. You may see some of these bench players come in, and that's what we got to figure out. You always got to look at it like that. If you're making multiple lineups, definitely have your core 3 and definitely make multiple lineups, switching those players around and switching your 2 utility players. But those utility players got to be someone that more than likely could be a very sneaky play. More than likely they're not going to be highly owned, but you're going to have to take someone that has the possibilities of getting in a game, especially if there's a blowout. Like a Sammy Whitcomb, you know, like a Courtney Paris. T-Hawk is going to get action. Like a Hines Allen. Like a Ariel Powers. May get more time if Della Don is off or if someone gets into deep foul trouble. Crystal Langhorne. We also know that for Seattle, Jordan Canada has been getting some time. She's only 6,000 here. Whitcomb or Ruffin Pratt. I think Ruffin Pratt has been shown as of late that TRP has been getting action, at least in the last series. I don't see that changing for Washington. I think they're going to use her off the bench and she's going to play. Now, granted, I don't know how many minutes, but she's definitely going to be in this range of 12 to maybe 14 or 15. If the game gets out of hand and they have a big lead, I could see her getting more minutes. But this is the finals. If somebody's having a problem on the court, somebody falls into foul trouble, not shooting well, you could see Ruffin Pratt and you could see some of these other girls get some action. I doubt very much they'll take Della Don out unless she has any setbacks with her knee. But I think that for me, I mean, Ruffin Pratt is someone to consider, especially if the game is close or even if there's a blowout, she may get some time on the floor. I also feel the same way about Crystal Langhorne for Seattle. And, of course, Jordan Canada's a play. Alicia Clark played very well in the last game, man. You know, she's another one that could be a little sneaky. I love the fact that she gets a lot of minutes, but I don't get that she's just not consistent with getting that 25 to 27 fantasy points that I would love to see. I love Natasha Cloud over her just simply because she's just feisty, man. Natasha Cloud, she plays ball. Look at this, 27 in the last game and 34 the game before that. She's come through for Washington in the last 2 games. And she's only 7K here. in this tournament, in this one-game slate. So she is someone you can stick in there. But let's throw in there. I'm going to throw in there Delle Donne. I'm going to put Delle Donne in the top spot. Let me try to, I'm going to put together, let me try to put here together 3-2 stack. And let's see what's going on. I'm going to go Delle Donne. I'm going to go Ariel Atkins as a surprise play at the star spot. If she puts up 20, 20 floor points and can get me, I would say if she could get me a 30 to 35 fantasy points, that would jump up to about 50. Okay, that would jump up to about 50 fantasy points. And then at the pro spot, I am willing. 7,000 left. I'm willing to put Jewel Lloyd there for Seattle in the pro spot. And maybe flip-flop Ariel with Jewel Lloyd. I think you definitely need to have a Seattle one. I know that Breanna Stewart is going to be heavily owned. And she's going to be in one of the 3 spots for whoever possibly wins. Is going to have Breanna Stewart or Delle Donne in the MVP spot or in the star or pro. I can't see Delle Donne or Breanna Stewart in the pro spot. I think that they definitely, at least in my opinion, they should be either or in the MVP or star spot. And you know what? You could get 2 surprise picks here in the pro and star spot, and throw a Delle Donne or a Stewart in the utility would be definitely totally different. It's just that you got to hope that those 2 individuals you put in the star and pro position definitely, are lights out tonight. It's the only way, and that could be that would be another way for you to be able to nail down this GPP. So I'm thinking, all right, so I'm throwing in a Delle Donne, Double A, Jewel Lloyd, who has had at least two out of the 3 games already against Washington, has played well against them. Now we got 6,500. How about Langhorne or Ruffin Pratt? If we go Ruffin Pratt, now we got 3 Washington. I would love to make that last utility of the 3-2, make it a Seattle. Let's see what we can get for 85. 85, we can get Sue Bird. So that'll put us with 2 Seattle backcourt players. Let me just see how that looks. I like to see it on paper here. Delle Donne, Atkins, Lloyd, Ruffin, Pratt, Bird. Not bad. I don't see this being highly owned layout. Could be a possibility. You could remove Lloyd, and you have 80, and you can go Christy Tolliver, and then you got 7,000. But now we got 4 Washington. I don't want to do that. I'm not focusing on a 4-1 Washington stack. I already drew one up like that. How about 3 Washington, then make your then if you're making multiple lineups, your second lineup, let it be 3 Seattle players up front, just in case Seattle happens to have a runaway game. So this is, if you have a runaway game, I think these are the 3 key girls in Washington, at least in my opinion. Delle Donne, Ariel Atkins, and Christy Tolliver. You got 5,700. You really can't do a whole lot there. You can go Langhorne, and then you're with $6,000. You got Jordan Canada, and there goes your 2 Seattle ones. You use all your money, which is okay. Again, there's nothing wrong with utilizing all your funding, but it's also not even there's not a problem at all to leave money on the table. I've stressed that enough here, that you can leave money on the table. Same thing with NBA. You don't have to utilize all your money. So here you got, 2 surprise players for Seattle. If they happen to play well, it'll be totally different. This is for sure. And 3 stud players for Washington. So something like that could be created. If we go now and we load up on Seattle in the front court, obviously we want to go Stewart. Then I will have to say maybe Bird. And you can either go Natasha Howard. I think up front, from just the numbers that we have here with Seattle, up front had issues with their opponents. They scored 57 points up front in the 4 games against Phoenix. Phoenix really tore them up with Bonner and Griner up front. So here we could throw a surprise move. We can do a I would not, maybe not. Well, I'm trying to figure 3 Seattle players up front here. We'll use 3 Seattle players, but we won't put that 3rd Seattle player there. We'll put the 3rd Seattle player here. Let's say, let that be, let me just throw in there Langhorne right now. Okay, Sir Dave, you asked, let me see if I can answer that question for you. Cash game. If I'm going to go cash here, I'm going to go with statistically the players that are going to get the most touches, okay, and are integral. They're the most important players on each team, and try to squeeze them in there, and then, of course, obviously choose that one key player. So I will go, if I'm going to go cash, at least for me, let's say I go with Breanna Stewart there. At the start spot, I'm going to have to use Delle Donne. Okay, then we're going to have to look here. You know what? Not Delle Donne. Sorry about that. Let's go for a cash game. Let's just go with one front court player. Let's go with Stewart for now. Give her the benefit of the doubt. She is at home. Okay. Then in the star spot, we'll come down to save some money. I would really take Ariel Atkins somewhere in this lineup. I mean, she's been very consistent throughout the playoffs, and she's playing really hard. I think she will be a decent cash play. She will probably have. Let me take a look at her a little further here. Yeah, over the last 5 or 6 games, her floor, man, is like, I would say 13, 14. So she could probably get you, 13, 14 points from the floor, let's say minimum. It's been a while since she's had less than 14. In this game here against Atlanta, she had 5. And even then, she went out and performed. She did the other things necessary to give us fantasy points. She put up a 21 spot pretty much because she went out and got some rebounds, did block a shot, and had 3 steals. But you look at 3 games in a row, and then the 2 prior to that, I mean, that's pretty much like 15, 16 point average right there. And actually, it's about right because as you look here on my chart, Ariel Atkins is the 3rd leading scorer between these teams. She's the one that scored the 3rd highest amount, 15 points a game. So I will go with someone that is in that position, is that consistent in a cash game. And obviously that's what you want to do. But you're definitely going to have to plug in somebody there that's going to be, as far as price. So you got $6,800 now left. And I am, again, I'm trying to draw something here as far as cash. I think the next player that could be a good cash move. Wow, it's a toughie. But I would say I would probably stick in there Sue Bird. Not that consistent, but let's look at the chart here. Sue Bird, the 6th leading scorer between these 2 teams, 11.6 points per game. Now, she can go out there and get 8 or 9 assists on top of scoring a little bit more. She's taking 10, 15, about 16 shots a game. I like the fact that she's taking enough shots. So that's, she's definitely someone to consider. It is a very tough decision to do a cash game here. But these are 3 solid plays right here. Stewart, Atkins, Bird. Any way you want to put them, they have decent floors. I would say with the $6,000 you have left per player, it is really tough at the bottom, man. There is just, none of these players are consistent, and none of them are for certain that they're going to get time. Maybe 6,000 you could take a stab at. Well, I would say I would take a stab at Natasha Cloud. She has good upside. Let me see what more or less her floor would be. Oof. She has been like up and down, man. She's like all over the place. Man. Natasha Cloud has been up and down. Now, granted, she's been doing okay with rebounding. But 19, let's just figure out the average here for a moment. So she had 28 in game 1, 19, then a 8, then a 34, 36. You know, she's playing well enough. She's playing well enough to be on the floor. I would say she's probably good for 9, 10 points from the floor. And looking at her quickly averaging her 5-game series against Atlanta, she's pretty good, man. She's at a 20, I would say about 24, maybe 24 average here, fantasy points, which is below, you know, her price. But I mean, again, this is a 1-game slate, so the price is going to be a little higher. Not a good line, Marky Mark. Yeah, you know, it is tough. If you're looking for a cash game, I'm all in favor of players that get enough shots and at least are averaging 10, possibly or more points a game. You know, and they have to have some upside. In this case, Sue Bird will be the 3-point shooting and assists. Ariel Atkins, same thing, 3-point shooting. She's good at everything. You know, she shoots well from the foul line. She's aggressive enough to get to the foul line. Then you got Breanna Stewart, who can do a little bit of everything. You know, she's a, you know, 5-tier player, no doubt about it. You could go, if you don't want Breanna Stewart, you could go Della Don. You know, she's got a good floor. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You're going to get points off of her. But when you get to this utility with $6,000 left, like I said, go Cloud. I think Cloud is not a bad play here. And then 5,000, you got to take a stab and hope that one of these girls here plays some time. Now, if I'm going to come down here to any one of these, my first initial feeling would be to go with TRP. Okay. If you go Ruffin Pratt, I mean, she's in the last 3 games, she's getting 21, 26, and 12 minutes. I would say she's good for 14 to 16 minutes. And I mean, and looking at her numbers here, I mean, hey, look at just looking at her floor as far as points, it looks like she's gonna be, you know, she's good for like 7 or 8, possibly, and then she's also good for about a possible 3 rebounds or so, or 4. So I mean, it's a tough one, but I think you can definitely get by with taking a stab at TRP here. And play a lineup like that. Let's just throw it in there so you can see it. And for a cash game, I would probably take a stab at something like this. And you could always move the 3 girls on top. If you don't want Sue Bird, I definitely would take a fly on Jewel Lloyd, obviously, for Seattle. So any one of those 2 would be fine. But I think Natasha Cloud and Ariel Atkins are pretty decent plays here. And then if you didn't want Stewart, you could go with Della Don. You know, everyone is going Della Don at MVP Stewart. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I can't see Della Don or Stewart, Artful Dodger, in any one of the 2 spots. It's got to be those 2 spots. For me, it'll be, I mean, it'll be. You can definitely take down a GPP here in this slate if you threw a Breanna Stewart or a Della Don, or if you had them both on this team, on this line here, and have one of them in utility. I would not be surprised, because we know that either one of these girls got 50-point upside, so we will be happy. Let me just clear this up, all right? Let's clear this up and do this one more time. And let's throw something out there. Let's go utility, and let's just say, hey, we're going to throw in utility. We're going to throw a Della Don down there. We know that she's capable. We know she's capable of getting 50. All right? And let's say we put Breanna Stewart up here. Now, we only got $5,500 left, but if both of those girls put 50, then Breanna Stewart is going to get you 100. That would be something else. James Perkins says TRP is scaring me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, James. It's really tough, man. It really is tough. With this WNBA this year, it was really, really tough for me. I mean, TRP, yeah, it's got to be somebody down here. Unfortunately, there's got to be someone down here. Now, not unfortunate. Let me not say that, because you don't have to play Della Don or Breanna Stewart. All right? You really don't. So who has the highest possible floor and ceiling among the girls that are not there. My next logical choice is if it's going to be in the front court, it's going to be Sanders and Howard, right? And if it's in the back court, I'm definitely focusing on Bird, Lloyd, or Christy Tolliver or Natasha Cloud. So let's just try that. Let's say Christy Tolliver MVP. Let's say she's the one who has the monster game today. This way you have more than enough money to play around a little bit. And let's say we'll throw in there Jewel Lloyd for Seattle. And let those two girls battle it out. I would not be at all surprised these girls both ball out and put over 20 floor points apiece. It's very much possible. It can happen. Not use any of the big studs at all. Let's see here at the pro spot. I don't know. You can go Howard if you want. You can go Sanders. If you go Howard, you got 6,700 left over. If you go Sanders, you got 6,200 left over. I don't want no goose egg. That's what I'm looking at here. I don't know. So we got Latoya Sanders. What do you guys think of this? Tolliver, Lloyd, and Sanders going in that direction as opposed to going with the stud front court players, Stewart and Deladon. Now, granted, Stewart is a little bit healthier. We know Deladon is still battling her injury. She's probably not 100%. So you got to give Stewart the upper hand here. Also, she is at home. So let's just say that we'll go with Stewart. Even if we didn't want her in the MVP spot, we'll take Stewart in the star. But throwing something like this, Tolliver, Lloyd, Sanders, and utilizing the other key players that are integral parts of the offense for these teams, then I would probably go down here and take Ariel Atkins. And now you got 5,000 left. You got 3 Washington, 1 Seattle. And with the $5,000, you're just going to have to choose a Seattle player that more than likely is going to get some time. Unfortunately, that's a little less than I need for Crystal Langhorne, which I probably would prefer Langhorne here. So that definitely makes it difficult. Then if, let's say, we take Sanders out of there, and let's say we go and we give it a shot with Howard. Now with 6,000, we can still at least get Langhorne or Miss Canada. I don't know. Don't know. But that's the whole thing about this one game slate thing, man, which I just don't like at all. But I always give it a shot anyway. I don't play a lot of lineups. I don't put massive money into it. I just put a couple of games into it when it comes to these one game slates. I give it a shot because, hey, I'm a DFS player. I just want to play. But I'm not going to go and do 10, 15 lineups or anything like that. I'll take a shot at it and see. Marky Mark. Cloud is a perfect fit. So you like Cloud? I have no problem, man. I really like the Washington players. I like Ariel Atkins a lot tonight. I like Christy Tolliver a lot tonight. And I also like Natasha Cloud a lot tonight. So, at least for me, I would not be at all hesitant to put a play and have Ariel Atkins and Natasha Cloud in here. I would not be at all opposed to this at all right here. And maybe even just moving Christy Tolliver out of there. I mean, what we got, 8,000 left? Doesn't leave us a lot of wiggle room here. Let's say if I move Christy Tolliver out of there and throw Stewart in there. Stewart, Lloyd, Atkins, Cloud. Yeah. Tough spot. Tough spot. I definitely know I'm gonna, we got a few more minutes left. I'm gonna go and do a couple lines real quick. I always drop lines and then I try to, if I get time, I do the lineups. But I'm thinking I know I'm gonna have Breanna Stewart in 1 or 2 lineups. I know I'm gonna have Deladon in 1 or 2 lineups. And like I said, I kind of like Christy Tolliver. I think she may have a nice game here tonight. I also like the battle between her and Jewel Lloyd. I think Jewel Lloyd is going to play well at home today. And I definitely love Ariel Atkins. She's been the most consistent. And I still like also Natasha Cloud as well. And when it comes to the fours, I kind of like Sanders a little bit more than Howard today. But then again, Howard is not a bad play as well. So tough choices for you guys. But hey man, I figured I'd come out, sit down here for a little bit on a Friday night, talk to you guys a little bit. The NFL video went out earlier today. It was definitely a lot later than I expected. I started it on Tuesday and delayed a couple of things. I got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and they started school this week, and it was just a disaster. So, but I still got it up. I am gonna have them up, obviously, starting for next week's NFL. That video will be up a lot earlier, probably by Tuesday. And tomorrow I do have an NFL live show. So if anybody's doing NFL, I will be doing a live show tomorrow, going over a couple of other players that I'm targeting possibly for Sunday, as well as the ones that I discussed in the video. So for those who are staying tuned and are being involved in the NFL DFS, definitely come aboard tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. I'll be on here probably for an hour, maybe an hour and a half if everything's going well, and we'll talk some football and get ready for Sunday. But basically that's it, man. So with 10 minutes to go, I give you guys a chance to go and do what you need to do, man. I mean, I just figure I'd come out here, give you some ideas, give myself some ideas as well, because I really haven't looked this over much, with me focusing mostly on football the last few days. But I'm looking forward to watching the series. I think it's going to be an entertaining series. I think it's going to be close, and may the best team win. But obviously, I love Della Don, man. That's my girl, so I'll be rooting for Washington. Before everybody leaves, man, I mean, we got 28 people here. I appreciate you guys drop a like, obviously, on the live stream, like always. I appreciate everything you guys do for me, man. And of course, remember, NFL is here. It's time to get busy, make some money there as well. Okay. All right, man. So basically that's it. And if nobody has any more questions, we'll wrap it up right here. We got 9 minutes to game time. I'm gonna go and get something to eat. Probably go and grab a beer as well, and sit down and enjoy the game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, man. Again, for you guys, enjoy the night. Good luck in the game. Hopefully you guys make some money. And of course, man, drop a like if you haven't been here before. Definitely subscribe. NFL football is here already. I have a live show tomorrow at 7 p.m. So stay tuned for that. And other than that, man, that's basically it, man. Everybody, God bless. Have a great night. And I'll see you guys the next time.